My name is Jim, and I should not be alive today. For 11 hours, I was clinically dead. I saw what no man ever wants to see. The burning screams of hell, and yet I also saw Jesus in heaven. The doctors had given up. My family was already mourning. But in that strange silence of death, something happened that changed everything. I was taken out of my body, dragged into a darkness so heavy it felt alive. I heard voices, no screams. I smelled sulfur, burning flesh, and the stench of despair. I was in a place I never believed existed, hell. But then, just as hopelessness swallowed me, a light broke through. A presence so powerful, so pure, it silenced everything around me. And in that moment, I met Jesus. This is my story. And if you will stay with me till the end, I will tell you how death opened my eyes to eternity. If you had met me before this experience, you would have said I was just a normal man. I wasn't an atheist, but I wasn't a believer either. I hovered somewhere in the middle, ambivalent, uninterested. When people talked about God, I'd nod politely, but in my heart I thought religion was just a crutch for the weak. I grew up in a small town, in a family that went to church occasionally. My parents believed in God, but faith was never something that felt real to me. As a teenager, I learned early that life seemed unfair. My father lost his job, and my mother fell into depression. I remember nights lying awake, listening to their arguments, wondering if there was really a God up there who cared. Slowly, I hardened my heart. By the time I was in my 20s, my only focus was survival and success. I wanted money. I wanted recognition. I wanted to prove to myself and to the world that I didn't need God to make it. I worked hard, built my career, and started climbing. On the outside, people thought I had it all together, a decent car, nice clothes, and a confident smile. But inside, I was empty. To cover that emptiness, I turned to distractions, drinking on weekends, parties that blurred into the night, relationships that had no depth, only physical satisfaction. And whenever a friend would mention church, I'd brush it off with a smirk. Hell? Heaven? Those are fairy tales people use to sleep better at night. I can still hear myself saying those words, almost mocking. I had no idea how real those places were. The truth is, I was angry at God without even realizing it. Angry that he had let me see so much pain growing up. Angry that the world seemed full of injustice. And yet, instead of asking questions, I closed the door. There were moments, small ones, when I felt something tug at me. Like when I sat alone in my apartment after another meaningless night out, staring at the ceiling, asking silently, "Is this it? Is this all there is?" Or when I watched my grandmother pray with such peace, even though she had nothing material. I couldn't understand that peace, but I envied it. Still, I pushed those thoughts away. I buried them under work, under laughter, under noise. I told myself I'd think about God when I was old, maybe when I was close to dying, but not now. Not while I was young and strong, and so, that's how I lived. I didn't hate God, but I ignored him. I didn't believe in hell, but I joked about it. I didn't think much about heaven, because I was too busy building my own here on earth. But deep down, I was lost. And like so many others, I didn't even know it. Then came that day. The day everything I believed, or refused to believe, was shattered. It was a cold morning in November 2017. I woke up with a strange heaviness in my chest. At first, I thought it was just fatigue, maybe stress from work. But within hours, the pain grew unbearable. By midday, I was rushed to the hospital. Doctors surrounded me, their voices urgent, their hands moving fast, attaching wires, tubes, and monitors. I remember the beeping of the heart monitor, steady at first, then irregular, then frantic. My vision blurred, sweat drenched my body, and then silence. A flat line. They said I died at 2:14 p.m., but for me, death didn't feel like sleep. It felt like being ripped out of myself. One moment, I was looking at the ceiling light above the hospital bed, and the next, I was floating above my body, watching doctors desperately pounding on my chest. I wanted to scream, "I'm right here." But no one could hear me. Suddenly, the room grew distant, fading like a shadow, and then, a force, heavy and terrifying, pulled me downward. Faster and faster, as though gravity itself had changed. I tried to fight it, but I couldn't. I was being dragged into something I didn't understand. The further I went, the darker it became. I couldn't see the hospital anymore. Instead, there was blackness so thick it felt alive, pressing against my skin. The silence broke with faint cries, then screams, piercing, endless, echoing from every direction. I smelled something I had never known on earth. Sulfur, burning flesh, rotting decay all at once. My stomach turned, and then I saw them. Faces, countless faces in the shadows, twisted in agony, their eyes hollow with despair. Some were screaming, some were gnashing their teeth, some were clawing at themselves as flames licked around them. It was as though the fire burned not just their flesh, but their very souls. I froze in terror. A voice hissed in the darkness, deep, mocking, and full of hate. You never believed, and now you belong here. Demons. I don't have words to describe them fully. Their forms shifted, grotesque and terrifying. They laughed at my fear. Their presence carried a weight that crushed me. Hopelessness so heavy it felt like drowning. One of them reached for me with hands like claws, and I knew if it touched me, I would never escape. Memories flashed in my mind. Every lie I had told, every selfish choice, every time I had mocked believers, every time I ignored that small voice inside me. Suddenly nothing was hidden. I saw myself as I truly was, naked in guilt, stripped of excuses, and the worst part, I realized I deserved it. I had chosen this. By rejecting God, by living for myself, I had walked this road blindly. I screamed, not just from fear, but from regret. Please, God, no, give me another chance. But in hell, time doesn't move the way it does here. A minute feels like an eternity. Hope feels impossible. Every scream I heard wasn't just pain, it was despair that never ends. I thought it was over, that this was it, that I would remain there forever, and then, something happened. A light, at first small, then piercing, cutting through the darkness like a sword. The demons recoiled, shrieking, covering their faces. The fire stilled, the screams grew faint, and in the middle of that darkness I saw him. Jesus. The light grew stronger, brighter than the sun, but not painful to my eyes. It was warm, living, pure, the kind of light that carried peace in its very presence. Every shadow fled from it, every scream was silenced. And then I saw him. I had never seen Jesus before, but in that moment I knew it was him. His face shone with love and authority. His eyes, they weren't like human eyes. They saw through me, through every lie, every wound, every sin, and yet there was no condemnation in them, only love. I fell to my knees, trembling. I couldn't speak. All the pride I carried in life melted away like dust. And then I heard his voice. Not loud, not thunderous, but clear and powerful. It wasn't just in my ears, it echoed inside my very soul. Jim, your time has not yet come. Tears fell from my eyes. I cried out, Lord, please, don't leave me here. He extended his hand, and instantly the fear and the torment vanished. I felt a strength I had never known wrap around me. I am giving you a second chance, he said, but you must return. You must tell them what you have seen. You must warn them that hell is real, and heaven is real. You must live differently, for your life is not your own. In that moment I was lifted, no longer falling, no longer trapped. The darkness gave way to light, and suddenly, I found myself standing in a place that words fail to describe. Heaven. Colors more vibrant than anything on earth. Music that wasn't just heard, but felt, resonating through every part of me. A peace so deep it erased every fear, every regret. There was no pain, no sorrow, only joy that overflowed like a river. I longed to stay. I wanted nothing more than to remain there, forever in that presence. I whispered, let me stay here. But Jesus looked at me with eyes that carried both love and purpose. Not yet, Jim. There are people waiting for your story, lives that must be changed through your testimony. Go back, and do not be silent. Before I could respond, I felt myself being pulled again, but this time not downward. This time, it was as though I was being carried gently back to where I came from. The light faded, the sounds of heaven grew distant, and suddenly, I opened my eyes. I was back in the hospital. The doctors gasped. My family screamed in shock. After 11 hours of death, I was alive. But I was no longer the same man. When I woke up in that hospital bed after being dead for 11 hours, I wasn't the same Jim that had gone in. Something inside me had been broken, and something else had been reborn. The doctors called it a miracle. They couldn't explain how a man with no heartbeat for that long could suddenly return. My family cried, hugging me like they'd never let go again. But as I looked around at their faces, I knew this life I had been given back wasn't mine anymore. The old me, the selfish, prideful, careless man had died. From that day forward, everything changed. I couldn't touch alcohol anymore. It sickened me. The parties, the meaningless relationships, they suddenly felt empty, even disgusting. I found myself longing for prayer, for silence, for the presence I had felt when Jesus stood before me. I began reading the Bible, the very book I once mocked. Words I had ignored for years now burned with truth. I found peace in forgiving people I once held grudges against. My relationships grew deeper, my conversations more honest, and most of all, I couldn't keep silent about what I had seen. Every chance I got, I told people, hell is real, heaven is real, and Jesus is the only way. Some laughed, some listened, some even wept. But it didn't matter how people reacted, I knew my purpose now. My life is no longer about chasing money or recognition. It's about one thing: preparing for eternity and helping others prepare too. Thank you for listening to my story. I don't share it to frighten you, but to awaken you. Life is fragile and eternity is real. I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts after hearing this testimony? Have you ever experienced something that made you realize how close eternity is? Please share in the comments. Your words might encourage someone else. If this touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, subscribe, and stay connected to this community. Until next time, may God keep you safe, and remember, stay ready.